The conference room looked expensive in the way wealthy people like expensive things to look: clean, polished, quiet, and emotionally cold. The long mahogany table stretched across the room beneath recessed white lighting that reflected softly across its glossy surface. Every chair around the table looked perfectly aligned, perfectly measured, like the room itself had been designed to intimidate people before a single word was spoken. At the head of the table sat Gerald Okafor, a calm and unreadable attorney whose dark suit looked sharp enough to cut through the tension hanging in the room. His hands rested neatly over a stack of legal documents while his eyes quietly observed everyone without giving away a single thought. Deacon entered the room carrying the confidence of a man who believed he had already won. His expensive watch glimmered beneath the conference lights as he adjusted the cuff of his dark blue shirt. His posture said everything before he even opened his mouth. He believed the room belonged to him. Beside him walked Simone, elegant, composed, dressed in a cream-colored fitted blouse and gold earrings designed to attract attention every time she moved her head. But near the doorway stood Ranata. She carried no performance. No drama. No visible anger. Baby Imani slept peacefully against her chest wrapped in a soft yellow blanket while Ranata stood quietly watching the room prepare itself for betrayal. Nobody offered her a seat. Nobody expected her to stay calm. The title agent nervously clicked her pen over and over while the notary avoided eye contact with everyone in the room. Even the air itself felt heavy, as though the walls already knew something ugly was about to happen. Then the document slid across the table. Deacon picked up the pen casually. He didn't hesitate. He didn't even read carefully. He simply found Ranata's name on the property deed, dragged a hard line through it, and slowly wrote Simone's name above it. The scratching sound of the pen against paper echoed through the silent room. Simone smiled. A small cruel smile. The kind designed to humiliate without speaking. Every eye turned toward Ranata. Everyone expected tears. A breakdown. A scream. Instead, she looked at Gerald Okafor. And Gerald looked back. Only for 1 second. But in that second, something invisible passed between them. Something nobody else in the room understood. 8 months earlier, the house had still felt normal. The mornings were quiet. Coffee brewed in the kitchen. Baby clothes hung drying near the laundry room. And Ranata still believed her marriage was exhausted, not broken. Then the letter arrived. It came folded inside a formal white envelope with Gerald Okafor's law office printed across the corner in dark ink. Ranata opened it slowly while standing at the kitchen counter beneath soft morning sunlight. At first she thought it was ordinary paperwork. But then she read the words carefully. The property purchase agreement listed her as a legally required co-owner. Not optional. Not suggested. Required. Her signature was permanently attached to the original county filing. Without her approval, no transfer could legally happen. Ranata read the document 3 separate times. The first time with confusion. The second time with suspicion. The third time with understanding. Because suddenly every strange thing from the past year started connecting together. The hidden bank account. The secret property searches. The unexplained meetings. The late-night texting. Simone. Phyllis. Everything. But Ranata said nothing. She folded the letter carefully along its original creases and placed it inside her handbag. Then she continued living normally. She cooked dinner. She folded laundry. She smiled during conversations. She listened carefully. And she washed. Most people mistake silence for weakness because they don't understand strategic patience. Ranata wasn't ignoring the betrayal. She was studying it. Every conversation became evidence. Every strange behavior became confirmation. Every careless mistake brought her closer to understanding exactly who the people around her really were. The letter stayed in her bag every single day for 8 months. Untouched. Waiting. The house was silent except for the soft breathing of baby Imani. It was nearly 2 in the morning. Ranata sat in the nursery chair gently rocking her daughter while exhaustion rested heavily beneath her eyes. Motherhood had changed her entire world. Some nights she barely slept. Some nights she felt invisible. Then she noticed light coming from the kitchen. A laptop screen glowing in the dark. She slowly stood up with Simone resting against her shoulder and walked carefully toward the doorway. The laptop sat open. An email thread filled the screen. And there it was. Our next chapter. The subject line alone felt like a blade sliding slowly into her chest. The emails between Deacon and Simone discussed the property closing date, interior designs, future plans, moving arrangements. They spoke like a married couple building a future together. A future inside the life Ranata helped build. For several seconds she couldn't breathe properly. The kitchen suddenly felt colder. The walls farther away. The silence heavier. But she didn't cry. She took out her phone, photographed the emails, and quietly walked back into the darkness. That night something inside Ranata changed permanently. Not her love. That had already been wounded. Her innocence. Because betrayal always hurts twice. First when it happens. Then when you realize how long it has been happening behind your back. As she sat alone in the nursery chair, the glow from her phone illuminated her face while Simone slept peacefully against her chest. And for the first time, Ranata stopped thinking about saving her marriage. She started thinking about surviving it. 2 days later the phone rang. Ranata almost ignored it. The caller ID showed Sister Claudette from church, a woman she respected but rarely spoke to outside Sunday greetings. Something in Sister Claudette's voice sounded heavy. Careful. Ashamed. She explained that several weeks earlier she attended a restaurant dinner where Phyllis and Simone were present. At first the conversation seemed harmless. Then Phyllis started talking about Ranata. Not generally. Personally. Private things. Painful things. She repeated deeply emotional conversations that Ranata had shared only with Deacon during vulnerable moments inside their bedroom. Her fears after childbirth. Her loneliness. Her insecurities. Her feeling of disappearing inside motherhood. Phyllis turned those private confessions into entertainment. And Simone listened. Learning. Collecting. Using every insecurity like ammunition. Sister Claudette admitted she couldn't sleep afterward. The guilt had been crushing her. So she finally called. Ranata listened silently. Every word confirming what she already suspected. When the call ended, she placed the phone on the table and stared at the wall for a very long time. Not because she was shocked anymore. But because betrayal from strangers hurts differently than betrayal from family. Family betrayal enters through doors you left unlocked. That afternoon sunlight slowly moved across the kitchen floor while Ranata sat motionless listening to the silence inside her home. Then she finally reached into her contacts. Scrolled carefully. And pressed call. Gerald Okafor answered on the second ring. The conversation lasted 40 minutes. When it ended, Ranata no longer looked confused. She looked prepared. Gerald Okafor's office overlooked downtown through tall glass windows that reflected the grey morning sky. Ranata arrived early carrying baby Simone in a carrier against her chest. She sat calmly across from Gerald while he explained the truth hidden inside the property agreement. Deacon had never fully read the original filing. He assumed control automatically belonged to him. But legally, Ranata held the power. Without her notarized signature, the entire transaction was invalid. Gerald asked her what she wanted to do. Most people expected revenge. Immediate confrontation. Public exposure. But Ranata wanted something else. Truth. She wanted every person involved to reveal themselves completely before consequences arrived. So she asked Gerald to allow the closing meeting to continue exactly as planned. Same room. Same people. Same confidence. She wanted Deacon to walk into that room believing he had already won. She wanted Simone sitting beside him smiling. She wanted Phyllis present. And only then, after everyone fully exposed themselves, would she open the letter. Gerald studied her quietly. Then nodded. Because calm intelligence is far more dangerous than emotional chaos. As Ranata left the office, she held the envelope tighter inside her handbag. Not like a weapon. Like proof. The kind of proof that waits patiently. The morning of the signing arrived bright and clear. Deacon moved confidently through the apartment getting dressed while Ranata quietly prepared baby Simone for the trip. He barely looked at her. To him the outcome was already decided. During the drive he spoke casually about success and ambition. He explained how some people were built for comfort while others were built for something greater. The words sounded rehearsed. Practiced. Like he had been preparing this speech for months. Ranata sat silently beside the window watching the city pass by while her handbag rested on her lap. Inside it, the folded letter waited. Deacon mistook her silence for defeat. But silence is dangerous when the quiet person already knows the ending. Inside the conference room Simone carried herself like the future owner of everything. She adjusted her gold earrings repeatedly while sitting extremely close to Deacon. Her perfume floated softly through the room while she studied Ranata near the doorway. When Deacon crossed out Ranata's name on the document, Simone smiled. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Cruelly. The kind of smile people use when they believe humiliation equals victory. But what Simone didn't realize was that confident people become careless. And careless people stop paying attention. She never noticed Gerald watching calmly from the end of the table. Just as Simone reached for the pen, Gerald placed his hand flat across the document. The room froze instantly. His voice remained calm. Measured. Professional. Before we proceed, there's a legal issue. Deacon looked irritated. Simone looked confused. The title agent stopped breathing for a moment. Then Gerald revealed the truth. The original county filing legally required Ranata's notarized approval. Without it, the transfer was invalid. The room changed instantly. Confidence disappeared. Certainty collapsed. Reality entered. Ranata finally walked toward the table. Calm. Steady. Unshaken. She reached into her handbag and removed the folded envelope she had carried for 8 months. Then she placed it beside Gerald's copy. 2 identical documents. The room stared at them. And in that moment Deacon realized something terrifying. Ranata had known. For months. She explained everything quietly. How she received the letter. How she understood immediately. How she stayed silent intentionally. Not to manipulate. But to discover the full truth. The silence in the room became unbearable. Deacon exploded emotionally. He accused Ranata of humiliating him publicly. He called her manipulative. He blamed her for his embarrassment. But Gerald interrupted calmly. I advise you to stop speaking. The room went silent again. Then Ranata adjusted baby Simone's blanket gently and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she stopped. Without turning around. And said quietly, you should have read the fine print. Then she walked out forever. After the signing disaster, the seller withdrew from the agreement within 72 hours. The missing signature destroyed the entire transaction legally. Deacon lost the deposit. Financial pressure exploded. The illusion of control shattered. Simone slowly stopped answering calls. The relationship built on betrayal collapsed under pressure. Without stolen excitement and deception, there was nothing real holding them together. Church communities speak without speaking. Sister Claudette witnessed everything. Soon people understood exactly what Phyllis had done. Conversations stopped including her. Rooms became colder. Silence became punishment. Weeks later Deacon attempted reaching Ranata through mutual friends. But Ranata never responded. She wasn't angry anymore. She was finished. The loudest part of betrayal is exposure. But the longest part is aftermath. Every person involved now lived inside consequences they created themselves. 6 months later Ranata owned a modest peaceful home legally under her name alone. No secrets. No manipulation. No fear. Baby Imani crawled through the golden backyard grass while Ranata watched peacefully from the porch. Freedom finally felt real. Ranata placed the folded legal letter inside a small wooden frame. Not as revenge. As remembrance. A reminder that patience protected her future. One afternoon a car slowed near the house. Deacon watched from inside silently. But Ranata never looked up. She focused only on her daughter. Imani touched a dandelion and the white seeds scattered beautifully into the air. Ranata watched quietly. The image reminded her of freedom. Some things are meant to drift away forever. People often mistake quiet women for powerless women. But calmness can be strategy. Patience can be intelligence. Ranata never screamed. Never begged. Never chased. She simply waited for truth to expose itself. The signing room didn't create anyone's character. It revealed it. Ranata walked away because she finally understood something important. Love without respect destroys people. A woman who understands her value becomes impossible to manipulate. And the people who underestimated her eventually become trapped inside the consequences of their own arrogance.